Social resilience and UNESCO cultural landscape. As the landscape is living and constantly changing over time, the need to reconnect more cultural heritage to resilience is relevant in order to face the different changes in local population and community. So, how the newcomers who cultivate this landscape understand and perceive them in order to reinforce the idea of the landscape, to preserve know-how, and also to reinforce the sense of belonging in the communities. So, what is the relationship between resilience and identity? What is the limit between persistence and change? And what will be the main objectives to maintain the identity of this cultural landscape? Qualitative approach has been adopted in order to detect the different factors of change in these two case studies. The first one is the vineyard landscape of Piedmont, Langaro Monferrato in Italy, and the second one is the cultural landscape of Honghe rice terraces in China. These two cases are interesting in order to be put in comparison for their landscape and the elements composing these landscapes. Current driving forces of changes has been investigated in order to detect what are the different forces and the findings from these interviews and also for the survey detect different factors as the population, abandonment of rural villages, and so on. So the social cultural subsystem relates to different diversity regarding the composition that does not be properly addressed by the different management plans. So there are vulnerability in these systems, and a systemic resilience need to incorporate social resilience and the local capacity building in order to have a proper human-centered approach in the management, because landscape could not be as a self-goal. So, in order to have what community for what landscape, cultural landscape, as we told before, are ever dynamic, communities are attributes of the landscape. So, different surveys regarding the different perception of the social groups composing these sites has been launched, and the comparison between Macedonians and locals in the Italian site highlighted these differences. So social changes are greatest in areas with higher economic returns, and the need to foster more human-centered approaches involving the community more in these processes are one of the findings from coming from this thesis. Practical actions need to be pushed in order to in the field of planning, in the inputs and the processes of these management plans, especially in the attributes and the process relating values to attributes and attributes themselves, in order to have a proper responses and proposals and to implement into monitoring the different processes, and also to have a proper biocultural approach and knowledge practices. Resilience has been based upon 5 pillars, that is diversity, redundancy, network connectivity, modularity, and adaptability. And for each of them, there are different actions that have been highlighted and detected by this survey in order to have a proper management system for their continuation in the future.